A story that I wanted to do today that has just risen its ugly mug. This is just extraordinary. Over-diagnosis of mental health conditions in young people is stretching the state to breaking point, according to a report today calling for radical reforms. Support services for children and young people cost 16 billion a year, same as giving away the Chagos Islands, and are financially unsustainable, the Policy Exchange paper found. And a new normal has been created, it's argued, with misbehaving or feeling sad resulting in medical diagnosis, with those with acute needs missing out. This is just tailor-made for a good friend of mine who is probably one of the few psychologists and commentators who absolutely tells it how it is. We laud the legend that is Emma Kenny. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Mate, we've always done this. Honestly, you can't say jack to anybody nowadays. I was in a lift the other day and it was a woman and it got to the bottom and I said after you and she went, why? Because I'm a woman. The world's gone nuts. You can say I'm sorry, I'm feeling anxious. You've criticised my work. I need to be off work for 6 years. What has happened to us, Emma? We're as soft as anything now, aren't we?
I don't even think it's that we're soft as anything. I just think that we've brought up a whole youth in particular, and actually not just youth, I'm talking people all the way up into their 30s who've got used to this idea that if they feel sad or if they feel anxious or if they're having a hard time, that essentially it gets pathologised. And I think that that's happened. And the problem with that is as soon as people reinforce this state of mind, it becomes something that feels like pervasive. It's something that becomes almost permanent, and therefore you're looking at solutions that are outside of your own control. And when you do that, you're completely helpless. And we've seen this for the last 20 years in particular, the degrading really of our society mentally, and the fact that young people now don't feel purposeful, don't feel hopeful. In fact, some of the things you've been talking about, when I've been listening to them, I've been thinking to myself, if I was a young person today, I would probably be growing up thinking, I don't know what I want to invest right now. I don't know what my purpose is right now. And if there's a way of creating a solution where financially at least I can eat and I've got a house and I've got a roof over my head, these are things that actually I will go ahead and try to...
I get that, but you're much younger than me. What I don't understand...
I'm not.
Well, you look it. But my point is, right, so obviously the way I was brought up or my mindset is different because we had to go to work. We had to be aspirational. If we wanted something, we had to go and buy for it. You had to take criticism. You had to find solutions, even if it was difficult. You had to, to fight the hard fight and do the yards. And I'm really sorry, as a 6-year-old grandfather, but what concerns me about this is there's a sense of entitlement. We seem to be helping people that, frankly, we're wiping their asses. And we said it earlier, to the detriment of so much in this country right now, where the people who genuinely need our help are missing out.
Yeah, but also what you're talking about there is the way that society is changing. You're absolutely correct. So what we're seeing is that children are taking a lot longer to get into adulthood, and part of that is to do with the financial crisis, not having housing, not necessarily, as I was saying, feeling that sense of purpose. When Generation X in particular were younger, there was this idea that you left home at 16 to 18. There was an idea that you'd buy a house or rent early on. There was an idea that you'd get married and have kids. Now that's a massive transition and change. So there was this responsibility, accountability, purpose and vision. And the thing that people have lost sight of is, whilst crucially some people can feel that that's a lack of choice because you've got to do all these things to achieve A, B and C, actually what it gave you is an externalized understanding of your movement within the world. And that's really powerful. What we've done, and we've done this for a very long time, and this is to do with the medical system, it's to do with pharmaceutical companies, it's to do with the profits. We have internalized everything. It's all about me. I have an issue. Not finding a solution is secondary to actually what's going on. You're being told and reinforced. Yeah, you
But
are.
also, you know what you said about solution, and I am old-fashioned. Sometimes we were taught you had to go and find a bloody solution yourself. You couldn't rely on the crux. Yeah. It was all right to talk to your parents, but you couldn't throw your hands in the air and go... one of the greatest things for me is that we do now talk about mental health. I talk very honestly about what happened to me, and I had 3 months and it wasn't me, right? I get all of that.
Right.
But I hate the fact that it's somehow, I'm afraid, now being used, utilised, leaned upon, and that negates the genuine cases. I always want to say to young people, bloody well believe, bloody well strive, bloody well make an effort, for God's sake. And I sound like my dad.
You've just said something before that I think is really pertinent as well, which is that when I was growing up, when you were growing up, there was this idea that people did offend you. People weren't kind to you. You had those mantras like sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. And whilst that seems kind of trite to say, it's really powerful because what we've done is we've told a lie to kids. We've said, be kind. Well, that's not going to be the world. It isn't. We've said, don't offend. Well, you know what? Get used to it because this is the way the world is. And the problem is when you get to a point where you've been sold that lie, when the world doesn't treat you like that, you think there's something wrong with me. So then you internalize it and then you think there's something broken about me. There's nothing broken about you. The world is unforgiving. Suffering is constant. And the life is journey of loss. Undertake to do it joyfully. That's the reality of it. And that's suffering. But part of suffering is growing. And you're not depressed a lot of the time. You're sad. You're not anxious. You're just having a bit of a bad time reacting to a climate that isn't necessarily working for you.
Somebody once told me, and I've got to go, I love the bones of you, that every single person in the world suffers from sadness or misery or whatever they want to do. And it's a scale, right?
Yeah.
Z, you're in a straitjacket. A, you're having a bad day. And honestly, right, you have to deal with it. EK, see, I love this woman. And what are you doing about your old as well? You're as young as the hills. What are you talking about? We love having you on.
I'm just 8 years younger than you. And I've got two new babies. So there you go. I just don't believe in going with what people tell you. I just do things
Sorry,
my
are
own
you talking daughters or granddaughters?
No, I've got two new daughters and two older boys.
Mate, I've just
I'm unashamedly doing it differently.
Mate, 35, 22, 20, 16, 5 and 1. That's why I'm knackered and get up. Listen, love the bones of you. Emma Kenny, brilliant psychologist and commentator, talking there about how over-diagnosing mental health in the younger generation is stretching us financially to the tune of 16 billion. We've got no money, we've got no morality.